that wins the primary will be pro-Israel in any way, shape, or form. You'll see.
Disgusting. That is disgusting. Dude, I love this. This is so good. This is far better promo than the Democratic Party deserves. Okay? I'm telling you right now, the Democrats do not deserve this much praise. Let's get started. Let's get started here in my current backyard. I'm in Michigan, as you guys know, for the insurgent slate out here. Will Lawrence, Aisha Faruqi as well, but certainly Donovan McKinney and Abdul El-Sayed. We're door knocking. We're getting the word out. And so is Abdul's opponent, Haley Stevens. Haley Stevens was asked a question by the wonderful Sam Robinson, who has who's increasingly becoming a household name.
That about it.
Sam Robinson poses a question to Haley Stevens in her campaign stop earlier.
You
Says, I asked U.S. Representative Haley Stevens about her tweet accusing her opponent, Abdul El-Sayed, of blaming all of his problems on Jewish Americans.
That your opponent blames all his problems on Jewish Americans. You're commenting on a video of him talking about the AIPAC money coming into this race.
By the way, I've jokingly said to Sam that he sounds like Haley Stevens before. That's his voice you're hearing on the other side of the camera.
That about it. You said that your opponent blames all his problems on Jewish Americans. You're commenting on a video of...
I'm going to try to link up with him today. I'm going to try to get him to say what gives. I want to hear what he has to say. I want to hear what he sounds like if he says what gives. Okay? What gives?
him talking about the AIPAC money coming into this race. What made you say that?
You know, look, I think that there's been a lot of talk from my opponent throughout this race, about AIPAC, about, foreign policy and those issues. And actually, as I was driving out here, I was talking to one of our community leaders in Detroit. He just happened to call me. He's all fired up about the race. And he said, this is about what's going on in the east side of Detroit and the west side of Detroit. My opponent, you can look at who I've campaigned with versus who he's campaigned with. My opponent in this Democratic primary, he brought in Hasan Piker, this, talented.
What is this guy doing, bro? Hey, my man. Why are you shaking your damn head? Okay. What are you doing back there? Okay. I love this guy. As soon as my name gets mentioned, he goes, no. Hell no, not Hasan.
My opponent in this Democratic primary, he brought in Hasan Piker, this, talent.
He said, nah, Hasan. Nah, what? He said, what gives? I hate that she found all four of the brothers who will ride for her to appear in one frame.
Streamer or blogger who.
Yeah, this was beautiful. Haley Stevens called me talented and a blogger for some weird reason, because I don't know. Blogger is like, is this 2012? What do you mean blogger? But it turns out it's not just Israel that comes to her in her dreams, okay? I come to her in her dreams as well.
He brought in Hasan Piker, this, talented streamer or blogger who has been, very anti-Semitic.
That's crazy.
Took Hasan Piker right to the college campuses, which we know have been really rife with division, right? And, he took him there, and this is someone who said America deserved 9/11. I've been out campaigning in Michigan.
This guy loved that. He's like, yeah. Wait, is he agreeing with her? Is he agreeing with me? He's like, wait a minute. I love the reaction from the other people. She actually doesn't know what you do. She's a fake hater. Of course. She just got the talking points downloaded. She downloaded the talking points. She says you're bullying her. She calls me an anti-Semite. Of course. What am I, not supposed to push back?
In Grand Rapids a handful of weeks ago with the former commissioner of Social Security.
I think you are not beating the anti-black allegations, brother. Brother, I am literally going to later today, okay?
No, people's Social Security.
You'll see. It's all bullshit. That stuff is bullshit.
Is on the.
Most of the HasanAbi heads that I saw in Hamtramck, there's hella black HasanAbi heads in Hamtramck, okay? They were stoked. They just, don't happen to be at Haley Stevens' campaign stops.
They are bankrupting, they being Donald Trump, they are bankrupting the Social Security Trust. A fully paralyzed veteran asked me if he was still going to have access to his benefit check. You know, we got to stand with our incredible veterans. You know, the earned benefits. You know, and look, I'm also campaigning, you know, with Scott Benson and Jerry, you know, and community leaders. You know, I brought in a civil rights icon, you know, my friend, my collaborator in the Democratic Manufacturing Working Group, Jim Clyburn. So I think who folks are campaigning with, you know, that needs to be called out. Look, you know, I know what Michigan leadership looks like. I know how to, you know, make it through a tough race and what it's going to take to bring people together when this is all over. You know, I'm saying that we're all.
Great message from Haley Stevens. Good closing message. He brought in Hasan Piker, this talented streamer who's been very anti-Semitic. Yeah, I tweeted this out earlier as well. Just, you know, this morning I was feeling like it was, you know, I was feeling like I wanted to go down memory lane. Now, one of the things that I noticed immediately was the fact that she didn't answer the question again. Okay? She did the thing again. Shifty Stevens. She shifted away. The question is very direct. Was like, hey, why are you accusing Abdul of blaming all of his problems on Jewish Americans? Oh, because he campaigned with Hasan Piker, who's anti-Semitic. First of all, no, I'm not. Okay? But regardless, that's not the question. Like, that's not even an answer to the question. Oh, Abdul is blaming everything on Jewish Americans. You didn't even say, I'm blaming everything on Jewish Americans. And even if that was the case, which it's not, that still wouldn't answer why you said Abdul is blaming everything on Jewish Americans. Max Glass, longtime senior strategist at Daniel Strauss on Hasan the Hun and their Go Everywhere strategy. This episode revealed an important aspect of the Democratic primary electorate in Michigan or elsewhere. The Hasan Piker situation was very interesting in that, yes, he's very popular with younger voters, and I think people were excited to see somebody who's willing to do the work of reaching those voters, Glass told me in an interview. For us, it was like, let's show people we're the only campaign willing to actually really go and have real conversations with some of these influencers that are having an impact with young voters. Look at that. So on the comment section of the TikTok videos, people call you anti-Semitic, and when asked to pull up the quote, they can't find it. Yeah, because there is none. There is none. Like, even the shit that they could point to be like, oh, he loves Hamas or something, right? Like, if they were to be like, oh, he loves Hamas, then you very quickly revealed that there is nothing, okay? There is none. Of course there is none. I'm not anti-Semitic, and it's not even like a gray area, okay? I have spent a good deal of my career combating far-right, and my entire career combating far-right reactionary thought. And a big part of that is also identifying anti-Semitic tropes and combating and fighting against anti-Semitism. So it's just like they tried to make this into a moment. And most people understand when you say that, that just means you're anti-Israel, okay? Which sucks to suck for them because that's the majority. That's the majority position. But these guys still think they can keep hitting those lines over and over again. Remember when Norm said, you probably think Jews are cheap, he got you there? Yeah, I wanted to be like, I don't, but he's just not going to believe me, so I didn't even like retort back. Like there is an issue that I have with Norm's belief system that I'm fundamentally at odds with. I do think that you can, like, even if there are implicit biases that people have, no, you can absolutely train yourself not to have any biases whatsoever. Like I do not, even with all of the readily available evidence, okay, that one suspects that the average American Jewish person will be, at least in some way, shape, or form, pro-Israel to a limited degree or to a great degree, I don't arrive at any conversation that I'm having with a person that I've never encountered before with that assumption in mind. I don't think like that. I don't think like that at all. So no, I don't think that, I don't agree with that assessment. Like no matter how much I've seen it, it still doesn't change my initial assumption about a person, right? And I think that's the normal and healthy attitude to pose, a normal and healthy attitude to have in general. Perhaps I'm too charitable, and many people have said I am, and many people have criticized me for it, but that's just who I am. But that's a good thing. You have to operate like that. You can't assume that people are irredeemable, or you can't assume what they think until they tell you what they think, okay? And if I didn't operate like that, if I did not operate like that, if I did not have a firm commitment to rehabilitation, for example, a firm commitment to the fact that people can change their minds, then I wouldn't be as successful in doing what I'm doing with so many people who have changed their minds in this community, who have become firm and committed advocates, strong warriors of the working class, you know? What I can't stand is when people take this statement in a cynical direction, okay? When people take my consistent and reliable position on everyone can change their minds, I'm always going to believe that, people can be rehabilitated. And not only that, but also I'm just going to, operate as though everyone is a blank slate when I first meet them until they show me otherwise. People will then cynically assume that I'm doing that for some other purpose. Earlier, you mentioned Morocco. What do you mean Israel caused it? Israel and America got the Moroccan government to send like 40,000 people into Spanish-administered territory. We'll get into it in a little bit. It's not even on some conspiracy shit either. Like the New York Times is openly covering it as such. You know what I mean? It was classic Israel in the way that they did it, in the shameless way that they took ownership over it, that even the fucking New York Times was like, okay, well now we have to investigate what's actually going on here. You know? How is everything Israel? I don't know, man. It's not my damn fault. The New York Times said Morocco did it. But did they say Israel told them to? No, they didn't. But Israel took ownership over it. So I'm skeptical that Israel and the U.S. got Morocco to do it. It seems like something Morocco did on its own. Really. Morocco has done this in the past. Never to this degree. And not only that, but also they were doing it while American envoys were there. They were doing it after the American government literally signaled that they want Morocco to do it. Come on, dude. Israel also posted about it. Like Israeli envoys posted about it. Really? That's a stretch? Are we doing that? That's a stretch. We're doing that. Like this isn't like Israel killed Charlie Kirk. That's a fucking ridiculous conspiracy, which again, if you want to believe that, fine. I don't. But there are varying degrees of engineering that takes place when it comes to foreign policy, different tools, different pawns. I don't know if Israel had much to do with this. They'll take advantage of it, but Morocco has done this before independently. I know, but never to this degree. And America directly had an involvement here, okay? This is yet another circumstance where Israel and America are aligned because they have the same opposition. They have the same international enemies. Okay, we'll get into it in a second. Yes, I know. Netanyahu tweeted about funding separatist groups in Morocco all the way back in 2019. I know. I saw the Yair Netanyahu tweets as well. Okay, hold on. We'll get into it. We will get into it. I don't understand. How would this benefit America? I am going to get into it. Oh my God. I'm going to get into it. I'm not going to do it right now, though. I'm talking about something entirely different. We're talking about Michigan. Okay. It has a lot to do with Spain's relationship with Algeria. And it has a lot to do with Spain's attitude against America, against NATO, against America's actions in Iran, and also Spain's statements against Israel as well. I'm going to get into it in a little bit. Yeah, Spanish support for Palestine, all of that plays a role in this. If you are to say it's America being the engineer behind it, I agree with you 100%. When I say Israel, I'm talking about, Israel fanning the flames. Of course, it's engineered by the United States of America, but America and Israel are a unit when it comes to most of the stuff that we do around the world now. Okay? It's absolutely a coordinated action. It's absolutely coordinated against... It's Morocco, not Algeria? Yes, I know. But Spanish relationships with Algeria have a lot to do with Spanish relationships with Morocco. I like that chatters that don't know the full scope of this relationship will come in here to try and correct me on it. We'll get it? Oh my God. All right, not right now. So we were talking about Haley Stevens. So Haley Stevens is doing the classic fuck Hasan ripcord that many a failed Democratic campaign has pulled off in the last round, but this time against Abdul. To that, all I have to say is, what gives? And I also have to say, Israel comes to me in my dreams too, Haley. So thank you. Thank you for hitting this line. We were expecting you to do it. This is usually a nice little cherry on top. So what we got to do is a little stick it to them. Okay? We got to do a little stick it to them and go beast mode, lock in, and keep pushing. You clearly have motion because only YouTubers used to pull the fuck HasanAbi ripcord when they were dying. I know. Diana DeGette did this. Sharif Street did this against Chris Rabb. Adam Hamawi's opponents did this to him. Andrew Cuomo famously did this. He was the first to do it. And, the one thing that unites all these people is their campaigns all died. Their campaigns all failed. It's a little bit of a kiss of death. Mallory McMorrow in this exact primary did this and had to end her campaign early. Might I suggest don't come for my sis? Who's your sis? Shri Tanadar next. Shri Tanadar is not doing that, unfortunately for us. He hasn't done it. But regardless, what is this? Haley and Shri in Israel? They're not. I don't even think they're in Israel. I think this is. Are they? I mean, Gary Peters is right there too. Yeah, no, this ain't Israel. I'm pretty sure this is a synagogue in Michigan somewhere. It kind of seems that all your politicians are basically prostitutes, no? Yes, of course, dude. Our elections are bought and sold. It's that simple. That's what it is. That's kind of the problem. That's why we're fucking putting forward this insurgent left flank that isn't slutting themselves out to every goddamn corporation and foreign country that wants to buy their seats for them. That is literally what has always happened in American politics. And it's gotten worse over the years with Citizens United. This is the reality. And yes, I feel like we're disparaging sex workers and prostitutes by comparing them to politicians. Okay? At least prostitutes, they have like a valuable output. They're doing something. They're working. These guys just sit around and collect fucking checks and sell you out. With a sex worker, there's consent. You're consenting to have sex with them. You're consenting and they're consenting. There's consent in the relationship. A politician fucks you without any consent. Whether you're paying attention or not, these politicians are fucking you regardless. Anyway, were they not voted in? Yes. But they bought those seats. That's my point. In any case, but the criticisms haven't stopped there. Last night I saw a little piece from friend of the show, Master Shake, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Master Shake went on the Sean Hannity program last night. And what's really interesting about it is that Sean Hannity, once again, talks about me every night now. It's kind of unbelievable. Refuses to have me on the stream. Refuses to have me on the fucking show. But will talk about me every goddamn night. This time, Sean brought friend of the show, Mark Levin. And Mark Levin was fucking crying, dude.
Spiritual leader of the Democratic Party, far-left extremist Hasan Piker is now touting an anti-Israel litmus test for any Democrat with 2028 presidential aspirations. Take a look at these
dude, it's awesome. You call me the spiritual leader of the Democratic Party?
really repulsive and disgusting remarks.
Will you endorse the 2028 candidate if they are pro-Israel in a way that you don't like? If you ultimately are about defeating fascism in this country as you describe it, surely shouldn't you get on board with whoever the main candidate is?
Luckily, I don't think I will have to make that calculation at all, because there is 0% chance that whoever the elected Democrat is that wins the primary will be pro-Israel in any way, shape, or form. You'll see.
Disgusting. That is disgusting. Dude, I love this. This is so good. This is far better promo than the Democratic Party deserves. Okay? I'm telling you right now, the Democrats do not deserve this much praise. They do not deserve this association. They haven't done enough to deserve this kind of fucking promotional material. Like, this is the equivalent. This is the equivalence of like Fox News being like, the next Democratic candidate that runs for president is going to be America first. The next Democratic candidate will be truly America first. Or this is Fox News basically cutting promo for the Democratic Party by saying, by putting a clip of me saying the next Democratic candidate will be unconditionally pro working class, unconditionally pro Medicare for all. Okay, like, this is an incredible promo, a promotional tool that the Democrats don't really deserve, if I'm honest. They haven't shown that they deserve this kind of promo yet. But fuck it, why not? Fuck it, we ball.
Here with reaction, the host of Life, Liberty, and Levin, and of course his own nationally syndicated radio host. Of course, he's here on the Fox News channel. I call him the Great One, Mark Levin. Mark, this is a guy that blamed America for 9/11/01. There is 0% chance any 2028
9/11/01? What the fuck? I've never heard someone refer to 9/11 as 9/11/01. Has there been a 9/11/2? What does Sean Hannity know? Is there gonna be a 9/11/2? Has there been a 9/11/2? Why is he specifying which 9/11 it is? I guess maybe he means he's actually a Noam Chomsky head, Sean Hannity. He's like, yeah, the real 9/11 was actually the one that took place in Chile. Okay? The Allende coup. That was the real 9/11. This is the second 9/11, so he had to specify. He's like, 9/11/01.
Democratic nominee will be pro-Israel. Now, if that's not anti-Semitic bigotry institutionalized in a party.
Dude, it's so awesome. They have to be woke. They have to be so woke in a way that is repulsive for the average Fox News watcher, okay? This idea that you ran on America first and anti-DEI, and now you have to flip the script and be like, no, Israel first, and also we're anti-DEI except for Israel, is hilarious. He is so fucking woke. They're so woke, dude. Oh, it's awesome. It's hilarious. They flipped the script. They took some of the worst instincts of the Democratic Party that they had successfully opposed, won an election on opposing, and are now flipping it, not realizing how this looks to the average person, even in their own base. It is fucking awesome. I need to see what the comments look like. Usually these are botted into oblivion. Why you give him so much priority if he's so low? Hasan is 2 weeks away from developing nuclear weapon. So good I had to watch it twice. Shocking. You know you're doing something right when both parties hate you. These folks are trying to bring war to our shores. Division is real. Vote them out of government. They're stirring strife. Democrats are made up of America haters, nothing more. Stop giving the low-life airtime. Didn't Hannity agree to have Hasan on a show and then back out? I believe Maher Levin. They are scared. Calling Piker a lowlife is insult to real lowlifes. Piker is lower than that. It's just pure evil. I will be the first person to vote for Hasan if he runs. I need you guys to understand something, okay? Like, even this comment in and of itself, like, what a lowlife he is. How disgusting. I can't believe he said the Democratic frontrunner that makes it out of the primaries will be anti-Israel or won't be pro-Israel, okay? Substitute Israel for any other country. The Democratic Party frontrunner that wins the primaries will not be pro-Estonia in any way, shape, or form. Motherfuckers will be like, okay, I don't care. Literally, take Israel out and put any other country, pro-Canada, pro-Mexico. Would anybody turn around and go, wow, this is the worst thing I've ever heard? I did. I checked the comments. They're mostly supportive. It doesn't make any sense. This is a principled America First message from the news network that propagandized an America First message.
I don't know what is. Your thoughts?
This guy is, we're on cable TV. I got to watch it. He's a real low life.
Bro, he is crying. He cried.
Life.
He crowed.
It's a funny thing. This guy Puker, he doesn't condemn communist China. In fact, he says Mao was the greatest man to ever walk the planet. Right now, Communist China has about 2 million Uyghurs, Muslims, in internment camps where they're being raped, tortured, enslaved, and murdered.
I find it very funny to hear Mark Levin, pro-Israel Mark Levin, pro-genocide Mark Levin, turning around and acting like he gives a single solitary shred of a fuck about not only Muslims, but this time Muslims in China. Okay? This motherfucker is not concerned about Chinese people and their welfare, and he's certainly not concerned about the Muslim welfare anywhere around the world. So what's the expectation? You don't like Muslims, you don't like the Chinese, but now I'm supposed to assume you care about Chinese Muslims? How'd this happen?
He says nothing. In 99% Muslim, 150,000 Muslims have been starved to death and murdered.
Wait, yeah, Saudi Arabia did that, bro. What the hell? The Saudi UAE coalition forces did that. Plus, you've called out China on the repression of Uyghurs. What the fuck? Yeah, but none of these guys care, obviously. None of these guys care about any of that shit, including bringing up Yemen. These are all things that I've covered. These are all things that I've obviously, been very critical about. These are things that I've offered critical coverage to. So it's really funny that these guys only deploy these talking points when it doesn't even make sense when you're deploying them against me. But they only bring this stuff up to be like, oh, this, I bet you love not talking about the 100,000 Yemeni that starved to death. Who did that?
In the Syrian civil war, 580,000 Muslims were killed.
Again,
in this low
classic. Again, offered critical coverage on that as well.
Life says nothing about any of it. He is obsessed with Jews.
Like, I've written about it. It's on Huffington Post. You can still find my old articles from back in the day talking about the Syrian civil war, talking about Yemen, talking about our involvement in both of these issues, in both of these crises.
In Israel, he's obsessed with America. And by obsessed, I mean he hates us. He hates this.
What do you mean us? Bitch, I'm American. I'm American. What are you talking about? Of course I'm obsessed with America. I'm an American citizen. I'm an American taxpayer. I'm an American citizen. I'm an American taxpayer. Of course I care about where that taxpayer goes, where those tax dollars go.
Country. He hates the citizens of this country. He hates the Israelis. He hates Jews. You know, he was raised in Turkey. You know, Turkey, the country that's run by our dear friend Erdogan, who's a...
And then he just gets like weirdly racial with it. He's like, he's fucking Turkish. Of course he hates Jews. He's Turkish. Like, I don't. Okay. That's also ridiculous.
Another Jew hater, an Israel hater, and so forth and so on. And he ought to go back to Turkey. I'm really troubled by the fact that we have people coming into this country or coming back to this country that hate it so much and spew their poison left and right. I don't know how this guy gets a platform. I don't know how anybody pays to give him a platform. He's not intelligent. He's just...
It is kind of crazy that, like, so much commentary in the American news sphere, in the American media, is just made up. And it's not even just like on Fox News. Obviously, if you've been in here long enough, if you're like even somewhat familiar with my commentary, you know immediately that they're lying, right? But it is wild. Like, there are no editorial standards that remain. I don't think this is a good thing, man. I feel like we gotta have a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not doing like civility politics, but like, I wish that we had maybe a little bit of investment in truth and a little bit of investment in accuracy in our coverage. That would be nice. It's not lost upon me that those who are primarily invested in defending Israel will oftentimes say Israel's the only country that's not doing genocide, and it's all of these other countries that are. And even if that was the case, that still wouldn't, be an effective defense against Israel nonetheless. But I find it rather strange. Every other country is doing this except for Israel is, kind of silly.
Just a thug. He's just another Jew hater. And you can find them anywhere. You can find them on the street. You can find them anywhere. So this guy gets paid a fortune because he's a Jew hater. Now, as far as the Democrat Party goes, I hate to say this, he's not that far off the mark.
Democrats will hear Mark Levin do this commentary and be like, "Be agree with you. Let's get this Hasan guy out of here, Mark. You know, not the biggest fan of Mark Levin, but I'm really beginning to like what he has to say." You know? Of course, the average Democratic voter hears this shit and goes, okay, I like this Hasan guy now. If he's making this fucking dickhead, who I despise, this bald fascist piece of shit, cry real tears, then guess what? Maybe this Hasan guy ain't that bad. Democratic Party consultants, on the other hand, will hear this and go, wow, this Mark Levin guy is growing on me.
Democrat Party.
Yet another point of divergence where the base is totally living in a different reality, our shared consensus reality, whereas the DC elites, the consultants, the right-wing Democrats, the right-wing flank, the establishment Democrats are living in a totally alternative reality.
Is led by individuals
I say,
who are Israel haters.
Keep leaning into
Israel
this.
haters, you have to be a Jew hater. It's the only Jewish state that
Nope.
exists. Now, they like to say, well, we don't hate Jews, it's just Israel. Well, that's like saying we don't hate Catholics, we just hate the Vatican. That doesn't make any sense, does it? No, it doesn't. So that some of them try and camouflage their Jew hatred. This guy's out of the closet in many ways. He is what he is. But you have the guys like Van Hollen. You've got guys like Bernie Sanders. You've got people like that in the House. You've got a whole phalanx of Jew haters and American haters. Every single one of the Jew haters, every single one of the Israel haters hate America. Have you noticed that? And they trash our country as much as they trash Israel. Because Israel and America have things in common. A democracy, representative government, consent of the people. What else do we have? The belief in the Judeo-Christian value system and belief system.
Yeah.
We embrace the Enlightenment.
And the beauty is, of course, all of the American tax dollars, a good chunk of the American tax dollars are now being deployed in the direction of Israel's foreign policy. You know, we have a lot of things in common. Get back to work, Americans, so you can pay your taxes, so we can fund our military, so that Israel can use it like a mercenary force against whichever fucking enemy they have. Great stuff, man. Rewind, he called you gay? Yeah, who cares? Whatever.
Israel embraces the Enlightenment. We do not embrace the ideology of jihadi Islamists. We do not embrace the ideology of Marxists. And yet that is the modern-day Democrat Party, Marxist Islamists. And that is the modern-day ideology of the Democrat Party. So,
yeah, we're doing Marxist Islamism in America. That's, Medicare for all, no more wars, spend America first, peace ticket, rebuild the American industrial base. These are all, Islamo-communist takes. Yeah, I don't think this shit's going to work, especially considering that there aren't that many Muslims, man. That's it. That's a big part of the fucking problem for these guys. It's not like there's a significant amount of Muslim migration into the country. There are certain areas like Dearborn, maybe Hamtramck, there are diverse neighborhoods where Muslims exist, but the average American is not encountering a Muslim person all the time. There's not enough, there's a lot of resentment due to the war on terror, a lot of built resentment against Islam, against Muslims in general, Islamic terrorism and stuff like that. But you can't really pull the European style Islamophobia here to the same degree. European style of Islamophobia works because there's, far more, percentage-wise, there's a larger percentage of Muslim migrants that live in European countries where this kind of Islamo-communism, Islamo-Gauchism is deployed as a mechanism to win elections.
Expect this from Puker. He is a lowlife. That's exactly what he is. And by the way, there are many like him. Many like him. He's not talented. He's just a vile, poisonous human being. Well, he's a vile, poisonous person anyway. Yeah.
Well, what about the deafening silence of the rest of the party? I mean, they take Mamdani's wife. They won't say a word. The AOC, the squad. There is among many virulent anti-Semitism. They don't hide it. Basically, they have now what he's stating on their behalf is he will institutionalize a litmus test against Jewish people. Does that mean Josh Shapiro could never be their nominee? Does that mean he has no shot because he's Jewish and I would assume supports Israel? John Fetterman?
Well, Josh Shapiro has his own problems as far as I'm concerned. He's not as moderate as he pretends to be. But you're right, he's off the list. He's Jewish. But it's not just Jewish. It's also going to be evangelical Christians. It's going to be people of faith, a faith that is based in our founding in this country.
Yeah. John Fetterman, who is Jewish. Jewish John Fetterman. This is why he won't have you on his show. He's just worried. Yeah, you supported Bernie. I know. He backed out of calling you a human being. Okay, I got to run it back.
Ever be their nominee? Does that mean he has no shot because he's Jewish? And what he's stating on their behalf is he will institutionalize a litmus test against Jewish people. Does that mean Josh Shapiro could never be their nominee? Does that mean...
I mean, here's the thing. Someone being Jewish, at least by my estimation, I know these guys are going to not believe me, and it's unforeseeable, even though it is very foreseeable, considering Mark Levin brought up Bernie Sanders as a prime anti-Semite. He literally said Bernie Sanders is a Jew hater. Now they're fucking saying, oh, if someone's Jewish and they're running for president, they're of course going to be pro-Israel. So which is it? Because it seems like you understand when someone is Jewish, but is very critical of the relationship that America has with Israel, Bernie Sanders is a Jew hater. He doesn't want any Jews to run for office. He's like, the one fucking candidate that I backed over and over again happens to be Jewish. Bernie Sanders.
He has no shot because he's Jewish and I would assume supports Israel? John Fetterman?
Man, I love the universe that we exist in where your Judaism is no longer matrilineal. Okay? It's not, being Jewish is no longer cultural. It's no longer a matrilineal heritage thing. It's no longer an ethnicity. It's no longer even a religion. It's just how much do you support Israel? The more you support Israel, the more Jewish you are. Okay? And John Fetterman, basically Orthodox. Okay? And ironically enough, the ultra-Orthodox Neturei Karta, not Jewish. Bernie Sanders, no longer Jewish. Brad Lander, not Jewish. John Fetterman, very Jewish. Okay? The most Jewish. Haley Stevens, Israel comes to me in my dreams. The most Jewish you can be. Yeah. Satmar, not Jewish. Neturei Karta, not Jewish. Bernie Sanders, not Jewish. Brad Lander, no longer Jewish. On the other hand, the entire evangelical right movement, the entire Christian evangelical movement, they're all Jewish now. And it's not even that strange. Mark Levin has literally called Donald Trump the first Jewish president. He did that. He sincerely believes it. It is wild. This is the same party that, in my opinion, correctly made fun of Joe Biden for saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. They were on the money. They were correct in their jokes at the time.
Well, Josh Shapiro has his own problems as far as I'm concerned. He's not as moderate as he pretends to be. But you're right, he's off the list. He's Jewish. But it's not just Jewish. It's also going to be evangelical Christians. It's going to be people of faith, a faith that is based in our founding in this country, that serves as the underpinning of our institutions. Remember, these same people, many of them, the Democrats, just like the Democratic Socialists of America, the Marxists, they oppose the Supreme Court. They trash the presidency. They attack the Electoral College. They attack the Senate. The Democrats want 4 more Democrats. The Marxists want to get rid of the Senate altogether. They want to rejigger this.
Is Mark Levin Jewish? Yeah. Look at how pro-Israel he is, right? By his own estimation. Sean Hannity and Mark Levin are both Jewish now. But Mark Levin actually is Jewish. If the only standard is the more pro-Israel you are, the more Jewish you are, then yes, Sean Hannity and Mark Levin, both Jewish. Bernard Sanders, no longer Jewish. But yes, Mark Levin actually is Jewish. not just by his own metrics.
Society, they want to rejigger human beings because that's what Islamists and that's what Marxists want to do. So they have a lot in common. Now, who stands up to this? What is the oldest religion, Abrahamic religion that exists? Judaism. What's the second one? Christianity. So Judaism and Christianity.
What's the third one? We don't need to talk about it.
Christianity come under attack. Why? Because they are the bulwark against these ideologies. Marxism believes in no faith, no God. He said it was mysticism. Islamism insists that you either are a true believer to their faith, the radical Islamists, or they'll kill you. And so who stands up to this? Jews, Christians, Israel, the United States. And we are thriving, free, happy societies. And the people who speak like this guy Puker, they're angry, they are evil, and they are diabolical. And the Democrat Party buys into it, the way it bought into slavery, the way it bought into segregation, the way it bought into Jim Crow.
The Democrat Party, the current party that is pro-slavery and pro-Confederacy. You know, that's how it is. Bro, it's so awesome. It's so awesome. The Democrat Party that and not our party that's trying to bring it back. And not me that's currently defending Jim Crow apartheid in Israel.
Is a un-American party, and it's always been an un-American party.
All right, the great one, Mark Levin, will be watching Life, Liberty, Levin this weekend. Mark, as always, thank you.
All right, thanks.
This commentary was awesome. He went beast
We begin
mode.
with this morning's top story.
Anyway, U.S. and Israel, it doesn't end there, folks. There is another guy out there who's also very mad. As a firm and committed member of DSA Right, Bill Maher is doing factional infighting, sectarian infighting, and he's throwing his hat in the ring. That's right. For those of you who didn't know, Bill Maher is DSA Right, okay? And he hates MUG. He hates the Marxist Unity Group. Bill Maher opposes the Marxist Unity Group, folks. Buttfeld had a clip about me too. I know. All right, we'll get to Bill Maher in a second, but before I do that, yeah, there's another angry Fox News rant. This time from another armchair consultant for the DNC that happens to be on Fox News, Greg Buttfeld.
Pussy about it. You tell them, you're an idiot, get out. Stand up for kids. Like, what happened to what about the children? You let them go. Stand up for families, not, interesting families. Citizens, not criminals and perverts. You need, as a party, to shift emphasis away from the lawless to the law-abiding. Stop offering validation to people like Hasan Piker. You need to stigmatize Hasan Piker. You do not elevate their insane expression. Isn't this interesting? What the Democrat Party lacked was high-profile criticism. And what that did was it reinforced this foothold of radicals once they got to the attention they wanted. And that is the big tent lie. You lowered the barrier to entry without creating any obstacles, and now you're screwed.
Saying criminals and perverts, Democrats need to oppose criminals and perverts. Yeah, we are. Okay? And not just the Democrats, but pretty much everyone that's not a Republican is directly in opposition to criminal perverts, like the fucking president. Okay? Like the goddamn president, motherfucker. What do you mean, criminals and perverts? You love criminal pervertry is the name of the game for the Republican Party. Grand old pedophiles, grand old perverts party. They know this gets you juiced up. Yeah, this does get me juiced up. All right. Yeah. Hey guys, just some reasonable critique here from Greg Buttfeld, who literally said we need to reclaim the term Nazis for ourselves. Okay? That's the guy who's giving advice to the Democratic Party. Yeah, we should really listen to this guy. Anyway, someone link me the Bill Maher clip, please. Not just on MUG. The whole rant. I need to see the full rant. I know the MUG heads The mugheads in the chat are excited about mug mention, which, you know, when I saw it, I was shocked by it too. Because, like, getting into, like, different DSA caucuses is so funny to me. Like, Bill Maher knowing that there are different caucuses out there within the DSA is hilarious. Anyway, so this banged on Twitter, of course. Bill Maher, once again, positioning himself as, like, eventually leaving the left. He's going to do the why I left the left shit. He's just, you know, getting ready for it. He's trying to get everybody ready for it. Like this is going to be a big surprise when it happens. Left the Democrat Party from Bill Maher.
And finally, new rule: Donald Trump has told 1 trillion lies, but when he says the Democratic Socialists of America are actually communist, that's not one of them. And it's not hard to prove it just by quoting the DSA and their candidates. It gives me no pleasure to have to do this. I'd much rather keep going the good vibes from.
This is so good. Look, I'm gonna keep it $1.50 with you, okay? For all the DSA cadres in here, for all the DSA folks in here, take one thing from me, okay? What do I always say? Whenever people ask me this, I always say, look, I don't self-describe as a communist, but I have no issue with the moniker. This is your opportunity to also do the same. And if you're a communist, even better. But if you're not, and you're like worried, oh no, they're calling us commies, they're calling us communists. They call everybody communist. Okay? The Republicans call everybody communist. They call Nancy Pelosi a communist. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? It's no longer the Cold War. Okay? It's no longer the Cold War. The dynamic is changing a lot. So this is your moment, your opportunity to not back down from these sorts of statements. Do not fall for it. Double down. Be like, what's wrong? What's wrong? That's a decent end goal. I think so.
My summer vacation. I had an awesome one, by the way. I totally got a girlfriend at Bible camp. However, right before we left, Vice President J.D. Vance was on the show, and I told him that if the Democratic Party keeps going in the direction of the DSA, my vote was in play. And all I heard all vacation.
Oh my God. Oh, my vote is in play. Well, what will we do without Bill Maher? Oh no. For every Bill Maher vote we lose, we will gain 1 million, okay? Bill Maher and his attitude, and I mean this sincerely, like Bill Maher and his attitude and the way he carries himself is exactly what is wrong with the way people perceive the National Democratic Party, okay? 1,000,000%. Smug, entitled, elitist, know-it-all arrogance. It is so repulsive. Bill Maher is the poster boy for the Democratic Party's failures thus far. I personally welcome his hatred. I personally welcome his exit from the Democratic Party. Think about it. If you were thinking about not just the Democrats of the old days, right? But if you were thinking about this party, this national party as a brand, as a vessel for change, okay? Who do you think is better suited to be the face of the party? Zohran Mamdani or Bill Maher? I think we know. I think we have an answer for that. What would be a better party overall if the Democrats leaned into the Democratic Socialists of America or leaned into Bill Maher? Yeah, with his nauseating smugness.
Was, oh my God, you're a Republican now. No, that's not what I said. I said in play. And here's why. Because not a week goes by where I don't read about some newly chosen, exciting new face in the Democratic Party. And then when that...
Like, look at these faces. These faces are awesome. These are incredible people. They're all young. They're vibrant. There's so much dynamism on our side. It is so crazy. Of course, this asshole who's wrong all the time and a smug, conservative, reactionary piece of shit is going to despise where the base has moved and where the excitement really is in American politics right now for the first time in a very long time.
Face opens its mouth, the Communist Manifesto or some other crazy shit comes out. Again, let's just read the quotes. The DSA platform says you work as much as you are able and no more than needed. If that was any closer to Karl Marx's dictum from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs, they'd be sued for plagiarism.
I mean, that is literally, yeah. Dude, this is so funny because he's like, wow, guys, let me tell you how shocking this is. These socialists are socialists. Yeah, no shit, you idiot. What are you talking about? Wow. Guys, hold on. I've learned something very fascinating about this Democratic Socialists of America movement. They really like this Karl Marx guy. What? No. Are you serious? What are you, crazy? What? What a revelation. What? What's next, dude?
Not to leave any doubt, New York Mayor Mamdani once tweeted Karl Marx's words exactly. They're not trying.
No. You mean to tell me Zohran Mamdani is a socialist? What? Guys. I'm panicking. This is not all right. This is not all right that the guy who calls himself a democratic socialist, who has found his organizing home in the Democratic Socialists of America, might be a socialist.
Trying to hide it. Their most popular influencer, Hasan Piker, thinks communism is so groovy. He laments the fall of the two of the most murderous regimes in history.
First of all, he's going to say the USSR, which is a bastardization of my quote regardless, but it doesn't matter. And then he's going to say China, which has not fallen at all, as a matter of fact. I don't know if you've looked outside at all.
The Soviet Union and Chairman Mao's China. Mamdani's aide, his top aide.
Yeah. So, and then he's gonna go into some of the DSA folks in New York City. But yeah, again, nothing here is offensive. The fall of the USSR was one of the great catastrophes of the 20th century. Mao Zedong is one of the great leaders of this world. Both are true. Both are objectively true statements. Okay. Also, Maoist China never fell. I don't know what he's talking about. So much of this commentary unironically revolves around just refusing to entertain any sort of historical facts, just being smug about your lack of knowledge. Okay? I hate this so much. Just read a book, please. I beg of you, please. And hopefully it's not the Gulag Archipelago. Okay? It's so frustrating because even conservative thinkers of the past, right? Even conservative historians of the past would agree with both of these assessments. Okay? You don't have to like Mao Zedong. You don't have to like the USSR, the ideological commitment to communism or socialism that the USSR demonstrated, to agree with both of these statements. As a matter of fact, there's one guy who has stated this as well, and he's certainly no communist. His name is Vladimir Putin. Okay? Saying the fall of the USSR was one of the great catastrophes of the 20th century is an objectively correct assessment. Okay? That's it. You don't have to like the USSR to feel that way. The posture that it did not lead to so much death and destruction in Russia, in the Soviet bloc, is silly. It's just a historical fact. Child prostitution, diseases of despair, life expectancy plummet, increasing of children, increasing from the Eastern Bloc countries. Yeah, I am not a Maoist. I know people get mad at me for it. I'm not. But it is objectively true that Mao Zedong and his contributions to global affairs, to history, is plenty. He is a great man of history. Our greatest foreign adversary now is the People's Republic of China. Okay? There would be no People's Republic of China without Mao Zedong. There it is. That's proof in the pudding. This doesn't mean that you subscribe to everything that took place in the assessment of Mao Zedong. Mine is not dissimilar to that classic trope that I deploy every now and then that I paraphrase and mess up. What was it? Like if Mao Zedong had passed away in 1960, he would be regarded as one of the greatest minds of all time. I'm trying to find the quote because I want to give it to you correctly. Oh yeah. Here it is. Had Mao died in 1956, his achievements would have been immortal. Had he died in 1966, he would still have been a great man, but flawed. But he died in 1976. Alas, what can one say? Chen Yun, a leading Chinese Communist Party official under Mao and Deng Xiaoping. This is a fair assessment of, Mao's contributions in general. This is also closer to the contemporary Chinese assessment as well. It sometimes changes with the attitudes, with the cultural attitudes, with the political modes of governance, where, sometimes they lean heavily into Mao. It's not slanderous by any means. Okay? There were many failures within the Great Leap Forward attempts that led to crises, many deaths, many more deaths than like many excess fatalities. Cultural revolution, obviously, as well, especially led to many failures as well, many setbacks. But ultimately, the reason why 1.4 billion Chinese people do not have the same assessment of Mao Zedong as do Americans is for one reason and one reason only. It's because without Mao, there is no People's Republic of China. You don't have to like modern China, okay? You don't have to like the Communist Party of China to learn important lessons from Chinese history, to learn important lessons from what they're doing that we could apply here, adjusted to our own material conditions. And you certainly don't have to like the People's Republic of China to recognize that Mao's contributions to the world was plenty. Okay? Hasan, stop simping for private property just for 1 second, please.
China. Mandami's aide, his top aide, Sia Weaver, said if you don't believe in the government's sacred right to seize property, it's over, and impoverish the white middle class.
Beast mode. I love her so much. One of the things about Zoran is that the people surrounding him oftentimes are so much cooler than he is. But that's also part of the reason why I really respect what he's doing. She's awesome.
What? That's a goal? You know you're supposed to scare people into voting for you, right? One of the new soon-to-be Democratic Congresspeople, Darlisia Chevalier,
Bro can't say a single fucking name right, dude. God, you are such an old racist baboon. I swear to God. Darlisia Shavala, Zorab Mabdabu, and Darlisia Shabubu. Like, what the fuck, man? Is Daria Liza.
Reports seizing all properties from landlords and said seize the means of production. Mandami has said the end goal is seizing the means of production. I think they want to...
Wow. Guys, again, first with the Karl Marx quote, I was a little confused. Okay? First with the Karl Marx quote, I was like, well, that's making me a little uncomfortable. But now they're saying the end goal is to seize the means of production. Guys, these socialists sound quite a bit like socialists. And I'm beginning to not like what I'm hearing. Really messed up. Really messed up that they're saying socialist things.
Seize the means of production. Now, maybe you missed that in school or missed school altogether, but that's communism. That's communism, which we tried, and it doesn't work.
We tried. We tried communism, and it doesn't work. When did we try communism? Everybody knows communism doesn't work. Bitch, we live under capitalism, okay? And the reason why, despite years and years of propaganda and successful initiatives to completely thwart and destroy the socialist movement in this goddamn country. People are finding themselves more sympathetic to this ideology once again at the heart of empire, at the heart of capitalism in the United States of America, is because capitalism is fucking failing. It's not because there are incredible spokespersons for communism or socialism in this country. It's not because of me, you know. It's not because of others. It's not because of Zoran Mamdani either, right? It's because people are arriving at their own recognition that capitalism has failed for them and it's getting worse, okay? That's it. That's it. We can only steer people in the right direction to the best of our ability. We can only show them that there is an alternative out there. But ultimately, without those contradictions, without people recognizing that they are struggling for one reason and one reason only, and that reason is capitalism. It's not trans people. It's not undocumented migrants. It's not black people, brown people, but it is the current design of the system. Without people recognizing that they have that pain, without people recognizing why they have that pain, this wouldn't work. If capitalism was unbelievably successful, people would probably agree with you. But capitalism has been unbelievably successful for you, so of course you maintain this position. But the masses do not have a $100 million contract from HBO to smugly speak about how everything is actually fine and we should be more ruthless to marginalized communities on a nightly basis. People don't have the same cushy gig that you do.
Parties can change sometimes, you know. You have to keep up. Who freed the slaves? Republicans. Lincoln.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, the pivot. Okay. Who was corresponding with Abraham Lincoln? His name was Karl Marx. Okay? That's right. Karl Marx. That guy. The Republican Party, the party of Lincoln, was literally created to abolish chattel slavery in the South and wage slavery in the North. Are you really going to say that that is the current contemporary Republican Party? Are you fucking insane? The Republican Party was the closest to a proto-communist party that we ever had in this goddamn country, with the exception of, like, you know, Eugene Debs and some others.
Democrats were the racist party back then, but then JFK got elected and it switched. The DSA itself has switched, even 5 years ago. It shunned communists. That's change.
Yeah, and now they're successful. So what does that say? Much to think about. Much to think about, Bilbo. So he's also not right about this regardless, but what he's actually pointing to, but not doing it correctly, is like that, yes, DSA at its inception was an expressly anti-communist institution, okay? DSA was openly anti-communist. That's what it used to be. Except it was also fucking irrelevant until like 2016. Before 2016, in the Democratic Socialists of America, you would just see like a bunch of, 75-year-old Jewish guys for the most part. Some of which self-identified as socialists. Some of them were, it was just like, it was not a very effective institution. It was not a very effective organization. Things changed after Bernie Sanders in 2016, and then DSA saw a big push after the AOC race in 2018, and it's been growing ever since then. But DSA post-2016 is a very different Democratic Socialists of America than pre-2016. Another big changing point, another big turning point for the Democratic Socialists of America, in my opinion, was post-October 7. October 7 is where the Democratic Socialists of America shed the remaining non-anti-imperialist wing of the party, okay? The first turning point was 2016. The second turning point, and there were, instances where there were big boosts in the membership, obviously, with electoral victories. AOC being, one of the major points for Democratic Socialists of America. But the second turning point, where Democratic Socialists of America shed their last remaining like pro-imperialist wing, was after October 7. Because after October 7, when DSA came out and were like, we're still pro-Palestine, we are not a pro-Israel institution at all, we are still very much pro-Palestine, we're still pro-BDS, boycott, divestments, and sanctions on the state of Israel, that was a bridge too far for some, and people left the organization. People who had been a part of the organization since it's like Harrington days even. Or like, we're done with this. Yeah, from the Wikipedia, the organization grew from 6,500 members in the fall of 2014 to 8,500 by Election Day 2016. The day after Trump's election, 1,000 new members joined. By July 2017, DSA's membership had reached 24,000. By the end of 2018, it was 55,000. And by 2021, it peaked at 94,000. And then it stopped. But then there was a bunch of people that left the organization post October 7 because they thought this is too anti-Israel for my taste, too anti-Israel for my liking. And now it's well over 100,000. I believe the last number was like 100 and what is it, like 110, 120,000? I don't know the exact number. Those are all dues-paying members, by the way. It's huge. The Democratic Socialists of America is now the largest socialist organization in U.S. history, okay? For the last 13 years or so, I've been trying to feed new members to this organization to the best of my ability, year over year, and there were definitely periods of time when, it wasn't happening, and now we have arrived. But it took a long-ass time to get there. The idea that this is, I myself, of course, I'm independent. I'm an independent media figure, independent media personality. But this is the most politically important the Democratic Socialists of America has ever been. So why don't you go back to the old roots? Why don't you go back to being pro-American imperialism, for example? Why can't you? Why are you saying that you're in favor of seizing the means of production? What are you, some kind of fucking socialist? Yeah, unapologetically, yes. The fuck do you mean? Democratic Socialists of America are first and foremost socialist, okay? They're American and they're socialist. The idea that they're supposed to fit your neat little confines, your political ideology, your political framework, when your political framework has only brought about death and destruction to the periphery and abject poverty and destruction to the domestic home front, is ridiculous. It is supposed to be an alternative, charting a positive path forward for all Americans, not just the hand-selected pedophilic capital owners.
Now the coalition within the DSA, called the Marxist Unity Group, is in ascendance, and I must take them at their word when their words include, our commitment is to the long-term struggle for a fully liberated, classless society, in a word, communism.
Yeah. Oh my God. A big tent political organization of socialists have communists that are fighting for a classless society? Oh!
What do they have to do? Tweet out, elect more communists? Oh yeah, Sia Weaver did that.
Beast mode.
Yes.
Beast mode.
Good, I'm glad you're shocked. People gotta realize this is going on.
Beast mode. Wow. Guys, what the hell? What the hell, Bill Maher? Everything that you have revealed thus far has made me more scared by the moment. Every new statement you deliver, scarier than the last, Bill. I'm positively disturbed.
Yes, my vote is in play. I'm not voting for anyone who thinks the wrong side won the Cold War or cheers for the Intifada like it's the World Cup. It's so ironic from the people who obsess about colonization. You know what's being colonized now? The Democratic Party.
Classic reactionary thought, by the way. The Democrats are being colonized by what? Lifelong Democrats realizing that there is a socialist alternative that they subscribe to? Wow. How is it any different than when Republicans say, oh, the real colonialism, oh, you're talking about colonialism. The real colonialism is when Mexicans cross the border. That's not colonialism, you fucking jackass. It's called people changing their minds. I know that's a shocking revelation for your smug, entitled ass.
month, Sue released an open pledge they wanted their fellow Democratic members to sign. It said, "We are capitalist, not socialist. We want safety, not lawlessness. We are proud, not ashamed of America." These should not be hard words.
Yeah, sorry, big dog. The first line is ridiculous. The next two, that's fine. Okay? I hate this shit. I fucking hate when Democrats do this kind of like silly messaging bill. They do it all the time. They do it all the time. And they're like, oh, we're signing on a pro-capitalism bill. And Democrats have done it for years. I despise it. Okay? I despise it. It's so dumb. Especially because, guess what? Republicans are going to call you a communist anyway, you fucking dingus. They never stopped. And it's not like they stopped after you signed 700 other bills that are like, whoa, the Democratic Party are capitalist.
For a congressional Democrat to sign on to, you know how many did? 8. 8 out of 212. Guys, really, there's got to be an easier way to lose the swing states. No, this nonsense is not where most Democratic politicians are right now, but it's also becoming a raging fire festival in the party that neither is anyone putting out. People are actually getting elected now who literally don't think we should have police or prisons or borders. And again, they're not lying about who they are. The media is. Ask Ms. Chevalier about the border. She says, yes, literally abolish the border. You know, if you call a woman a whore and everyone gasps, and then the woman says, oh, no, he's right, I'm literally a prostitute.
He's such a piece of shit, dude. I mean, you're such a fucking disgusting... You're such a disgusting little gremlin, you old fuck. Also, like, being anti-sex workers Bill Maher is crazy, okay? There's no one in Hollywood that loves prostitutes more than fucking Bill Maher, so I don't know what the fuck he's going off about. Jesus Christ.
Believe her. This crowd literally wants to get rid of our form of government, the Senate, but also, and I quote, replace the president and Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen by and subordinate to Congress. Yeah, no biggie. Just taking the very essence of our government, which is 3 branches checking each other and shit-canning 2.5 of them. Who could be this nuts? I'll tell you who. Morons who are still wearing COVID masks in 2026. This photo is from the DSA meeting in Denver 3 weeks ago. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Since the far left, the far left, is overwhelmingly made up of affluent, ultra-woke white people, you raised your kids. You told your precious brats that every brain fart was genius, and now those brain farts are becoming Democratic Party policy. Francesca Hong, yet another major Democratic candidate who's all in on abolishing the police and is running for governor of Wisconsin, says, I think that my perfect world would be a world without prisons, because we all see the humanity in one another, and then we know nobody's disposable. Well, murder victims are. I mean, if you heard this kind of nonsense coming out of the...
Bro, you can't even say you want a perfect world where prisons are obsolete without motherfuckers being like, oh, you just want to let rapists get away with rape and murderers to get away with murder. Like, we can't even say, hey, man, a better future is possible without some fucking cynical, nihilistic douchebag being like, fuck you! It's not possible. Words used to mean something. We're no longer communicating with one another, man. We're no longer communicating with one another. We're just posturing angrily towards ideological planks that we choose not to understand. It's so fucking annoying. You literally cannot even say, look, man, I think in a perfect world, like, imagine if someone were to be like, look, I think in a perfect world, there would be no need for money. Okay? And then someone goes, that's the worst thing I've ever heard. Fuck you, kill yourself. You're a fucking piece of shit. It's like, why? Why can't I even say that this is like a pie in the sky goal that we could move towards where there's no inequality? You know? Why can't I say that? I want it. I want it for others. Why? Do you have an issue with that? At its heart, America was about dreaming big, okay? This was a country that put a man on the moon. This is a country that strived to be better and oftentimes failed to do so. But at least we dreamt. Nowadays, motherfuckers yell at you for dreaming. Nowadays, motherfuckers say a better future is not possible. That's my policy. It is so crazy, man. It's so crazy. You can't even say, I have a dream for a more positive future without people making commentary around how fucking bullshit that is. What the fuck?
Mouth of a teenage beauty queen, it would be an eye roll. No wonder that the most true blue Democrat ever, James Carville, says, there's just some shit I can't be in the same tent. Yeah, Carville said, I'm done. I'm not in that fucking political party. Now, Gavin Newsom disagrees. He says he's good with it because the party is a big tent. Well, you know what else you find in a tent? Clowns.
Yeah, well, when you leave, there will be one less fucking clown.
It's so funny. So many liberals shit themselves every time.
Look, man, it's pretty simple. If you suck JD Vance's cock, if you go and have fucking dinner with Donald Trump, okay, and you normalize their behavior and their fucking odious worldview while simultaneously opposing anything marginally to your left or majorly to your left, you're not a fucking Democrat, okay? Which is fine. It's fine. But you're no longer a liberal either. You know what I mean? You're not an anti-fascist. You're a fascist. They were nice to you, partially because you're cheap. One meal and a smile, and you're there. After years and years of channeling all of your advocacy around Donald Trump and Donald Trump only, you've decided you're gonna lean in that direction now. It's fine. We knew it was coming. I welcome it personally. Let the trash take itself out.
Trump puts gold on something in the Oval Office. Oh, it's historic. And the separation of powers isn't? Get your head out of your ass. I would vote for Sarah Palin before this shit.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We know, man. Yeah, we know. I don't know why this is like, it's really funny that this is like presented as a fresh take. You know what I mean? Wow. Unbelievable. Who would do such a thing? Wow. Shocking. We know, man. We fucking know.
She's a bimbo, but if you asked her to come up with something she likes about America, she could do it. You betcha. Thank you very much.
I think this is a good thing and not a bad thing, because there's going to come a time and place where people are going to either shelter their perspective, but choose a side. And I would rather have the likes of Bill Maher, especially such gross, such repulsive, arrogant monsters like Bill, openly state which side they are on. Okay? It's that simple. Bill Maher is far more comfortable with fascism at a time when fascism is growing, at a time when fascism, in much more meaningful ways than ever before. No longer are they crypto-fascists, but they're just straightforward fascists, right? That's what Trump 2 has brought us. Bill Maher leaning in that direction is unsurprising, okay? I don't think he'll be able to bring a lot of people with him.
Re-escalation of the war with Iran. Sources tell CBS News that the U.S. and Israel are ready to launch what may be the harshest bombing campaign to date against targets include power plants, refineries, and other infrastructure in Iran's energy sector. We're told.
So I briefly talked about this yesterday in our situation monitoring segment. I don't think this is. I mean, it's insane. This is perhaps the most insane thing that we could possibly do for Two major reasons.
President has yet to give the
Which I'll
final
get to in a
go-ahead order for strikes. He's threatened for weeks to attack Iranian bridges and power plants if Iran could not reach a deal with the U.S. Olivia Rinaldi is in Bridgewater, New Jersey, near Bedminster, where the president is staying this weekend. Olivia, good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. This would certainly mark a dramatic escalation in the war and the return of Israeli forces to U.S. combat operations, all while the ceasefire remains stubbornly out of reach.
Well, we're going big. We've already gone big.
At Camp David on Friday, President Trump suggested Americans prepare for the war with Iran to continue until Iran is diminished.
They'll get a little stronger maybe now, but they'll get weaker, and then they peter out. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft. Doesn't mean they don't have any capability. They have some, but very little.
And on the prospect of a deal coming together,
I'm losing faith in them because they do lie and they do misrepresent.
but the president gave a rare defense of Iran after federal investigators announced they are looking into whether Iran was behind a coordinated cyber attack to target water systems across Minnesota.
I would blame it on Minnesota and the governor, the corrupt governor of Minnesota. They like to say, oh, it was Iran. Iran should be so lucky. Iran's got bigger problems than worrying about Minnesota.
The FBI says at least 7 states were impacted by the cyber attacks, and officials say there's no indication that Minnesota drinking water quality was compromised. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz writing on X, Trump knows exactly who is responsible for this attack. This is what modern warfare looks like, and it further illustrates there's no plan to win a war with Iran. But there was one.
It is kind of crazy because American infrastructure is dog shit, so you never know. But also very funny that Trump is like, no, not my Iran. It could only be the one entity that is my bigger immortal enemy. The Democratic Farmer Labor Party of Minnesota. Not the IRGC. He really hates the Democrats a lot.
Surprise diplomatic breakthrough this week. The White House says Hamas agreed to disarm in exchange for complete withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza.
Nobody thought that would be possible, to disarm Hamas.
A Hamas spokesperson told CBS News the disarmament would not happen before Israel withdraws. But Israel said Hamas must disarm first. Still, the president touting it as a win.
That shows you how much.
If Iran is behind these cyber attacks on the U.S. water systems, the message is clear. It's a warning. If the U.S. strikes critical infrastructure in Iran, including desalination plants and power grids, Iran will respond in kind through cyber attacks against critical infrastructure in the U.S. Essentially, Iran will bring the war to the U.S. itself using cyber. The strategic mistake of starting and restarting the war is only becoming more enormous. Yeah. Now, is there proof Iran did it? I don't know. But I will say this. It kind of makes sense, but it also, in my opinion, is a little bit of a mistake from the Iranian side, because so far the reason why, I guess like it doesn't really matter at that point, because the reason why Americans are largely uninvolved with this, like American voters are against this war, is because there's not been a real penalty to the Americans beyond like gas prices. And even the dumbest American kind of understands that, like, yeah, we stuff up over there, and that's why the gas prices are high. They're not blaming Iran for it. They're blaming Trump for it, right? But if Iran started directly retaliating against, like, American critical infrastructure, things of that nature, I feel like there would be probably more of a rallying around the flag effect that would probably increase support for the war effort against Iran. Not that it matters, though, because the Iranian calculation in this situation could potentially be, well, these Americans don't like this war, but Trump doesn't give a shit, so we might as well universalize the pain a little bit. You know what I mean? So that could be their calculation to increase the pressure. But if you're Iran and your goal is to increase the pressure and increase the stress that the average American is experiencing, well, Americans are very spoiled. Overall, we're a very spoiled country. Our proximity to all the war that we wage gives us a tremendous opportunity to continue waging war without significant penalties. It could backfire. Cloud District says it could go one of two ways. A, the penalties on Americans make them blame Iran and support the war. Or B, it makes people more sick of the war and wanting it to end. I feel like the latter is more likely the longer the war goes on. But as it's still somewhat new, the former is more likely. Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends on the severity of the impact. Lack of proximity. Yes, not proximity. Sorry. But I will say there is a country far closer to Iran. And yet that country seemingly has no investment whatsoever. Amid the escalation, Israel Hayom reports, it appears that Israel will not be involved in the expected American attack against Iran unless it is attacked itself. Once again, I'm not dying for Israel. It's so funny. Only Americans, please. Only American corn-fed Iowa boys and girls get to die for Israel, okay? No, we're not sending our Air Force out there. What are you, crazy? They got anti-air defenses. They got anti-air defense systems. What do you mean? You think we'd let any of our Israeli pilots die in the process? Are you out of your dang mind? Now that the war has been going on for so long in Ukraine, the Ukrainian attacks on Russia seem to be making Russians less supportive of the war. But early in the war, it galvanized support for the Russian war effort. It depends on the level of attrition, in my opinion. Yeah, but again, it's been a long process for Russia. So, you know, it's a little different. America is still early. America's still early in the day in its efforts. Also, Russians are used to worse material conditions than Americans are. I think Americans are definitely Americans have far less appetite for stress. We're used to living very comfortable lives. I mean, think about it. COVID lockdowns led to Americans taking up arms against their local governments, you know, because they couldn't get a haircut for like a week and a half. Yeah, Russian baseline tolerance for suffering is infinitely higher than Americans. So I don't know which way it would go. I have no idea. But you bet your ass, any kind of attack on our critical infrastructure, we will have absolutely, like Trump will have absolutely been responsible for it ultimately. Because none of this shit had to happen. The gas prices, we did not have to experience another inflation crisis whatsoever. Trump literally at the behest of Israel, and I will be saying the truth, no matter how much people get mad at me for it. Okay? Now, as far as the Hamas disarmament thing goes, Israel has also been in opposition to that, which is shocking, guys. It's shocking, I tell you. Oh my God, imagine my surprise. Imagine my surprise when I found out that Israel was not in favor of Hamas disarmament in exchange for leaving the Gaza Strip. What? You mean, what? You mean to tell me that Israel is not going to remove their troops from 50%, 57% of the Gaza Strip in exchange for Hamas disarmament? What? No way. No way. What's next? You're going to tell me Israel didn't give a fuck about the hostages and we're simply using them as a propaganda talking point in the Western world? Stop. What's next? You're going to tell me Israel was trying to deliberately kill the Israeli hostages? Stop it. Yeah, this is a fire take. YouTube creator iDubbbz reveals that Ethan Klein lied about dropping his lawsuit against him and has now received an upcoming court date. Ethan previously confirmed he would drop the lawsuit after receiving significant backlash online, an apology from iDubbbz. I'm retweeting that shit. Oh, a fake ceasefire. Where have I seen this before? Banger. Yeah. Israel activity, Israel behavior, 100%. The U.S. almost, also here, going back to the situation monitoring. There's a new WAPO. Oh God, I don't want to. GIF link doesn't work. I need to log in. Send it to me with a paywall remover, please. Here's the thing, okay? America doesn't have the munitions to continue waging this war, and the global markets don't have time to continue waging this war as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, as the Saudi oil refineries start getting peppered with Houthi strikes, worsening the crisis, worsening the energy crisis. Okay? Markets and munitions. Markets can't take any additional destabilization, and America doesn't have the munitions to continue. And a lot more people are openly saying it now. At least they're saying it to the media. Here's a Washington Post exclusive. U.S. General warns Pentagon he lacks sufficient forces to protect Israel. A shortage of Navy destroyers used to defend against the Iranian ballistic missile attack of U.S. European Command to prioritize the U.S. homeland instead, officials said. The top U.S. general in Europe privately warned the Pentagon this week that he lacks sufficient naval forces to continue protecting Israel from incoming ballistic missiles. A couple months ago, we lacked sufficient munitions to protect our allies. Now, we're admitting that we lack the sufficient munitions to protect the homeland. Do you understand how fucking insane that is? Do you understand how fucking insane that is? There are varying degrees of allegiances that we have, Israel being at the top, right? Israel obviously is the most important asset, more important than actual states in the United States of America. Like, America would literally exchange Wyoming for Israel. America would allow Wyoming to be nuked off the planet with all of the Wyomingites in it in exchange for making sure that Israel was safe, making sure that Israel could continue expanding. I 100% believe that. Okay? So there's one element. But the entirety of the country, now we got problems. There's varying degrees of care here. There's varying degrees of importance. So, like, obviously the least important are the Arab states, Gulf states. They're nothing, even though they're worth so much more than Israel technically. In our calculation, they're worth nothing. And that much remains to be seen. We're basically treating Saudi Arabia and the UAE like they're Kurdish militias, okay? Literally bottom of the fucking barrel. Then you got the Asian security theater. You got the Asian security cooperative agreements in the Pacific theater. They're up next. We took their anti-air defenses and we panic shipped them into the Gulf specifically to defend Israel. And then you got Europe. Obviously, Eastern Europe is nowhere near as important, even though they're a part of NATO, so they're a little bit more important than the Asian countries. And then you got Western Europe. And after Western Europe, you have the American nation, okay? Our United States of America. While the United States of America, or at least our government, America the entity, not the people, while the United States of America could maybe eat a little bit of damage on the homeland in exchange for, going along with Israel's ambitions here, when you arrive at our missile stockpile is not enough to not only not defend Asia, but Eastern Europe and Western Europe, but now the United States of America. Didn't even mention Africa. Dog, Africa is not a part of the equation from the American foreign policy calculation. What are you talking about? We're talking about countries that we have security cooperative agreements with. From the American calculation, Africa is a land for plunder and plunder only. That's it. Same with Latin America for the most part. You think America would ever defend any African country? What are you talking about? You think America would defend any Latin American country? What are you fucking talking about? It's not even a question. Africa and Latin America is just land for plunder, natural resources, and cheap, or at times throughout history, dark chapters of history, free labor. Okay? And I don't even think, yes, you're not wrong. I don't even think America would defend Western Europe if push came to shove. My point is, if you can't defend the American homeland, then you have nothing, right? These guys love talking about if we don't have borders, we don't have sovereignty. If we don't have borders, we're not a nation. Okay. If we can't even defend the homeland because we have literally expansions on Israel, what are we? Other than a cumsock for Israel, an Israeli ambition. What are we? Are we a country? Who's the senior partner in this coalition? Who's the superpower here? Is it Israel or is it America? What the fuck are we talking about? General Alexis Grinkowicz, the head of U.S. European Command, so obviously you know he's fake and gay and woke because he's, in Europe, sent written notification to senior Pentagon officials saying that without another Navy destroyer, he will be forced to choose to defend the United States homeland over that of Israel, said the officials, who, like some others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the correspondence. A U.S. defense official said Grinkowicz's notification appears consistent with past outreach to the Pentagon from the military's top generals when they see certain risks that require Washington's consideration. This can occur, the official said, as commanders compete for finite resources and weapons. The Pentagon declined to comment. U.S. European Command did not respond to requests for comment. A spokesperson for the Israeli embassy in Washington could not be reached for comment. The general's warning comes at a tenuous moment in the 5-month conflict as near daily attacks have resumed following the collapse of peace talks between Washington and Tehran, and the operation's intensity has drained U.S. supplies of key defensive weapons. The Navy has been particularly taxed as the Trump administration has directed a blockade of Iranian ports in response to Tehran's closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The standoff has stymied the movement of Middle Eastern oil and other commodities through the narrow waterway, upending the global economy. You know all this stuff already. And it's been very interesting because this is yet another moment where I have to do my I told you so dance. Okay? Piker Broadcasting Service, the People's Broadcasting Service for tomorrow's news today. Okay? There it is. This is why you subscribe to the People's Broadcasting Service. This on the groundwork, changing American politics for the better, but this is part of the reason. There's another separate New York Times article that came out with pretty scathing comments about the Iran war, reported by Preston Stewart. If you've been following Operation Epic Fury from the start and even before it started here on this broadcast, none of this information is new for you. You've heard it. You've heard it from me over and over again, to much criticism at the time, right? Whenever I repeated this stuff, everyone was like, get the fuck out of here. We got contingencies. You're crazy. America's the most powerful military on the planet. You think we can't take out a middling power like Iran? Well, guess what? I was right. And all of the naysayers that were hanging on to a hope and a dream, leaning into lethal doses of copium, were wrong. Shocking. Shocking. What Kami says, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. Turns out we are a paper tiger. So how did I get it right? And so many of these analysts got it wrong. Well, there's a couple reasons. Number one, I don't believe in American exceptionalism. I think it's silly. I think it's dangerous to lean into these sorts of ideals. I think sober analysis requires you to look at the situation and also look at the opposition, what they're saying, what they're doing, what their capabilities are, without this weird supremacist lens. This is how America used to operate, by the way. Even if they lied to the public overall, they wouldn't believe their own lies. Nowadays, it feels like when Maria Bartiromo's like, I can't believe it. What is going on? Why are we incapable of destroying the Iranian military like my beautiful president said? It sounds sincere, like she believed the bullshit. Maria, you're supposed to be the one peddling the bullshit. You're not supposed to believe the bullshit, you fucking idiot. Trilogy, thank you for the 20 tier 1 gifted subs. This is a huge problem. Even if you are pro-American empire, it's a huge problem. I have no problem saying this out loud because they're not going to fucking listen to me anyway. Part of it is because they don't listen to reason and they don't want to conduct sober analysis regardless. They don't want to listen to any naysayers. It's incredible, dude. Same issue with China. Our interpretation and our analysis in the Western world on China is significantly lacking because we are constantly underestimating them. Anything that they do, oh, there must be some other separate reason. Oh, they must be afraid. They must be scared of us. They don't have the power. They don't have the capacity to push back. Remember, I told you, Liberation Day. What did I say? China was not going to back away from this, that they had the capacity to push back against this idiotic thing that Trump was doing. It was going to alienate all of our allies, and it was going to fail. It was going to alienate our allies. It was going to cause volatility. It was going to increase prices, which it did. And last but not least, China was not going to back down, and that China was inevitably going to come back to the bargaining table and, create an environment of stability, as they always do, after America's trade partners recognized who was primarily invested in continuing international trade stability and who was increasing the volatility. And it worked. Right after that, Canada, the UK, even Germany, France, and many other countries, including Spain, went to China and cut bilateral deals without the United States of America, in opposition to the United States of America's demands for decoupling from China. Now, the reason why I got it right, and many Western analysts got it wrong, is because they don't want to look at what China is doing and take it seriously. So even if their goals are different than mine, because I believe in cooperation with China and not saber rattling against China, And they believe in opposing China and maybe even waging war against China, which I don't think we need to worry about any longer. The reason why we get it right at the Piker Broadcasting Service and they get it wrong is because I listen to what the Chinese officials are saying. I look at their capabilities. I look at the material realities. Because no matter how hard you can propagandize about our war efforts going well, at the end of the day, if Iran is still lobbing missiles at American bases with successive strikes, that means that you were just lying. Because talking points are not the same as successfully attriting the Iranian strike capabilities. Talking points only delude people over here. And the same warning I present one more time, this time on the markets. Because of the gracious nature of China, always trying to trade max, always trying to maintain global stability, for the last couple of months, the Strait of Hormuz blockade has not turned into a major crisis, only because China cut their strategic petroleum reserve imports by almost half. There's no guarantee that it will continue to do so. This gives China tremendous leverage. But without that, Trump's yapping about how, Iran is going to do a ceasefire. We're going to blow up Iran on Friday nights, and then Iran is going to do a ceasefire on Sunday nights, would go nowhere. Because at the end of the day, there is a hard limit to how much oil is readily available in the market. Because this is not a speculative asset. It's a hard commodity with inelastic demand. A hard commodity with inelastic demand that will inevitably run out. And once we hit that hard limit, there is going to be a cascading, cataclysmic event. 35% off gifted subs right now, by the way. If you subscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service and gift subs, and at level 10 Hype Train, we will carry the flame. It's been a couple days since I've done so. I will carry it extra hard. So let's continue. What are some of the other takes from this New York Times article? Robert Niblett, former director of the Chatham House, called it a strategic loss and an embarrassment, adding, for the U.S. allies and those who rely on the U.S. for security, this is confirmation that you can't trust the United States. He continued, people won't forget that their security and their future were dragged into question by an unpredictable and wavering U.S. foreign policy. Who said these exact same words 3 months ago, 4 months ago? I did. Ali Vaez, the Iran project director for the International Crisis Group, said, this is the crisis of credibility of the U.S. Neither its military prowess nor its diplomatic promises can be trusted. Aaron David Miller, a former American negotiator and now a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, said the conflict has undermined U.S. deterrence and credibility, antagonized America's allies, and delighted its adversaries. That is where we are at. You understand? That's where we're at. Level 5 Hype Train is also where we're at. None of this had to happen. Donald Trump could have said that every other president that came before him said to Benjamin Netanyahu and different Israeli leadership, fuck off. He could have just simply left it at that. The Israelis have been agitating for a war against Iran for the last almost 4 decades. We could have just said, fuck off. And here we are. Flag-draped coffins coming back home. Price of gas is going up. There's tremendous instability that awaits the entire global energy markets. Far worse than what we've seen thus far. Our allies are frustrated, partially because of our actions leading to great instability. But also, our allies all around the world are frustrated because we've shown them that we do not have the military prowess nor the military might. And our commitments are absolute to one country and one country only, and that is Israel. And at the direction and at the behest of Israel, we are willing to throw the entire world into chaos. We are willing to forego our security commitments to countries that are technically far more valuable, far more bountiful in natural resources, for example, like the Gulf nations. The realpolitik of it all, the normal attitude here would be to cut our losses with Israel, to demand that they demand that they pull back and we pull back from them, and then redouble our commitments to the Gulf nations. I'm saying this not as someone who is an anti-imperialist. I'm saying that the pro-American empire position that is strategic and sound would be to lean into the Gulf allies, cut a deal with Iran, cause Israel to restrain itself, force Israel to restrain itself, to no longer protect it, to no longer allow it to behave with impunity in the violent and belligerent ways that it does. But instead of doing that, we have only doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, quintupled down on Israel's ambitions. It is unbelievable. We're also at level 6 hype train, 35% off gifted subs. And because there is a, albeit dying, but still relatively powerful propaganda apparatus that churns out Hasbara, that churns out pro-Israel talking points with regular frequency, a lot of people are left in the dark on this. That only could have been cultivated after 80 years of unconditional loyalty, by the way. That's it. That's why there's no other country, as far as our examination of foreign partnerships, foreign allegiances, there's no other country like Israel. Israel stands alone. We're at level 7 hype train. Only 3 levels remaining. 35% off, 5+ gifted subs. Breaking. Iran announces that it will strike the world's, what commie says, with the 50 bones, goddamn. Iran announces it will strike the world's most important energy facilities located in Arab countries and Israel, all within range of Iran's precision missiles in response to any new U.S. and Israeli strikes, per Fars. Ghawar oil field, Saudi Arabia, the backbone of Saudi production. Disruption puts 5+% of the world's oil supply at risk. The global oil supply, chat. Abqaiq and Khurais, Saudi Arabia, 7 million plus barrels per day throughput. World's largest oil stabilization plant. Ruwais refinery and Zakum oil field, the United Arab Emirates, second largest offshore oil field, 1+ million barrels per day. North Qatar gas field, Ras Laffan LNG. Qatar, world's largest gas field with 25% of proven reserves and 20% of global LNG trade. The Burkan oil field in Kuwait with 67 billion barrel reserves, 2 million barrels per day. Sitra refinery, the in Al Minhaj, Bahrain. Leviathan, Tamar gas fields, Israel, Israel's largest and second largest gas fields. Iran adds that during the 40-day war, Iran bombed Qatar's most important gas refinery in response to a strike on the South Pars facilities, with Trump apologizing in Truth Social, promising it will not happen again. The reason why they're saying we will do this if you strike us, if you follow through on this destruction campaign on our refineries, on our power plants, is because they will do it. They will. And perhaps they'll do more. Perhaps there will be a domestic attack on our energy grid here in the United States of America. Cyber attacks, potentially. Mark Ames says, Iran has to pre-announce the global catastrophe they can inflict because the Trump admin still hasn't learned from 5 months of failed warfare. And Trump himself says he had no idea Iran was shut down the Strait of Hormuz in response to getting attacked. However, Trump is so far gone, even if Iran were to tattoo their response plans and capabilities to his eyelids, he wouldn't process it. This absurdity is dangerous. Because a reporter says, you said that they do have some capabilities left. Should Americans be prepared for these back and forth attacks until Iran is simply unable to strike back? Trump's response is, they'll get weaker, they'll get stronger maybe now, but they'll get weaker and then they peter out. Yeah, sure, I think so. This is so insane. We are at the mercy of a complete and utter buffoon who we know has no care and consideration for the damage he can deal to other countries and its civilian population, but seemingly he has no care or consideration for the damage that we will receive in retaliation. Level 8 hype train almost done. There's a take on it called the mutual assured destruction. It is. They don't need a nuke. They have the nuclear option on trade, which they've deployed, and that didn't stop Trump. And they have the nuclear option on all of the oil refineries that they can light on fire and permanently cripple the global energy markets in a way that Trump can't yap his way out of. Meanwhile, this is what Trump is doing. Trump Media has officially launched its new paid data service, providing faster access to Truth social posts like a fucking Bloomberg terminal, by the way. The new service is called Truth API, which gives firms a direct licensed real-time feed of the platform's most market-moving truths, the company's CEO said in a press release. The service reportedly costs as much as $100,000 a month. Half the time I can't 20 seconds remaining at level 8 hype train at 95%. 10 seconds remaining. And we've officially made it to level 9 hype train. Only one more level remaining. 35% off gifted subs. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and MBs. 35% off 5+ gifted subs. If you subscribe to the People's Broadcasting Service for tomorrow's news today, the Piker Broadcasting Service at level 10 hype train, we carry the motherfucking flame. You already know. Kivtosh, thank you for the 5 gifted. Riney TV, thank you for the 5 gifted. Arcad265, thank you for the 10 gifted. Sailor Chaos, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Alana Bonina, Captain Caps, PWNY Garumi with a 20. And Leet Barbarian, thank you for the 5. A Sure Thing, thank you for the 5. Subsonic Spartan, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Vekanon with the 20 gifted. I like People's Broadcasting Service a lot more low-key. Piker Broadcasting Service, the People's Broadcasting Service, is both. It's PBS, baby. This is what Trump has been truthing, by the way. And for $100,000 a month, you could get access to these truths before anybody else does. Only Trump. It's in his DNA. What does this mean? What the fuck does this even mean? Queen of Crown 7, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. He's got Biden brain. Andrew Filer with the 50 bones. God damn. He's touching the wall. Anyway, Trump, on the other hand, says Iran is doing very poorly. Just in case you read incorrect stories, they're doing very, very poorly. They're having a hard time. Their missiles have been largely, they have some left, they have some, but they have far fewer than they had 4 or 5 months ago. Their manufacturing capacity is almost gone. The drone capacity is almost gone. They have very few, but they have some. We're in there 5 months. Oh my God. Closed presence. The strait is closed, but closed presence is back nonetheless with 100 bones. A much more important job than we originally anticipated. We're in 5 months and we have obliterated their military capacity. No, you haven't. No, you have not. 35% off gifted subs. Cooter Max Pig at level 20. Farm subs Hasan. Give us something, man. No, I'm not going to do that. We failed to get to 20 the other day. We only got to like 17. We got so close to 20. We're not getting to 20. Falcon Pack. I'm going to hit a oldie but goldie, by the way. That's right. Level 11 hype train. 30 seconds remaining, ladies and gentlemen. Level 11 hype train. Remember, 35% off gifted subs. 5+ gifted subs. 35% off. 20 seconds remaining at level 11. Your hotel neighbor be like, nah, they love it. 4 seconds remaining. Hype train is almost over. It's Jover. We're busy. You were not... Thank you for the 20 gifted subs, but you were not able to bring us in there. Hype train. Treasure train complete at level 11. All right. On August 1st, the U.S. calls on its citizens to leave West Asia due to the threat of significant escalation with Iran and its allies in the region. In my opinion, Iran and allies are waiting after Arbaeen to respond to the U.S. Saudi airstrikes in Iraq that killed several people. So maybe August 5th, except if the U.S. attacks before. Past 24 hours have been very quiet, except few attacks on Kuwait and Erbil. Israel's hospitals enter a stage of high alert across the country. It seems to me like they're gearing up for more conflict. Now, given their tendency, the American strike should have come already, okay? So it should have come like last night, as a matter of fact, or nighttime in Iran. The fact that it still hasn't is very interesting. Yeah, Saudi military and their tactical gear are once again unmatched. The guy in the ghillie suit is hilarious. He looks like a Japanese game show mascot. A guy in sandals is going to kill everyone in this picture. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. But it is interesting to see how much the I thought they were low on bombs. They are. They are. We are. And it's so bad that they are consistently leaking this information to mainstream news. It's almost like right before Operation Epstein's Fury started, right before Operation Epic Fury started, the generals were in a panic state. Here is Fox News covering it. That's when you know, when this lady comes out in the morning show and starts saying truthful shit, understand that the situation is not great.
Bill, well, the Pentagon is confronting a growing reality after months of fighting in Iran. America's stockpile of missile defense interceptors is shrinking so.
We're low on defensive munitions, not actual bombs. Yes, but we're also low on standoff munitions as well. Okay? Here's the problem. And I keep repeatedly explaining this over and over again. We have expended and depleted a decent chunk, almost half of our standoff munitions. The reason why we've utilized our standoff munitions rather than our bombs, right? Gravity bombs, unguided, guided gravity bombs, because we have not been able to establish air superiority over the Iranian airspace. Iranian anti-air defenses have still been lasering American planes. Okay? You've been saying the same thing for weeks. Well, because why would the situation change? It's not like we magically figured out a new weapon that can evade their anti-air systems. I've been saying the same shit over and over again because we've been doing the same shit over and over again. I know I sound like a fucking broken record. Every damn day I turn on this stupid fucking stream and I keep repeating myself because Trump keeps repeating himself. It's not like it was untrue months ago. It's just more true now than it was even last week. What can I do? Donald Trump goes on television and says, we won the war. We've destroyed the Iranian Navy. We've destroyed the Iranian striking capabilities. We've successfully attrited their strike capabilities. We've destroyed their defenses. But all signs are pointing to a potential escalation. All signs are pointing to a potential escalation as the State Department is urging Americans to consider leaving Middle East as regional conflict escalates. It's fucking rinse and repeat every damn day, man. Trita Parsi also has an assessment on the U.S. general from European Command warning Pentagon that he lacks sufficient forces to protect Israel. Trita says, I see three plausible explanations for this move. One, this is a genuine attempt at preventing a likely U.S. escalation in the making. Two, this is intended to give Trump a way out. Trump can continue to portray himself as tough and willing to take the fight. But the problem is with military readiness. Three, this is deception aimed at lulling Tehran into a false sense of security only for Trump and Netanyahu to attack Iran in a major escalation in short order. Why the fuck are you not at Streamer Games? Big dog. There's literally a major primary taking place on Tuesday here in Michigan. Are you out of your dang mind?
Much that military planners are weighing whether they can continue the current cycle of limited retaliatory strikes. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, using open source budget numbers, estimates U.S. Patriot interceptor inventories have fallen from roughly 2,300 pre-war to fewer than 827, while THAAD interceptors have dropped from 452 to fewer than 278. CSIS warns rebuilding those stockpiles could take 3 years or more.
If you look at what we've expended for Patriots, for example, the global inventory now has been consumed in the Middle East. Similar for the THAAD interceptors as well. These are things that we have to intercept ballistic missiles. So that really leaves us with very little excess to be able to use in other theaters, whether it's defend U.S. forces in Europe or the Indo-Pacific.
The Pentagon recently summoned leading Silicon Valley defense firms like Shield AI, Anduril, and others to discuss urgently replenishing depleted U.S. weapons inventories.
The concerns are that, these companies are, they have not produced at scale. They have commercial kind of technologies. They've done prototyping, but now kind of are they able to have production lines that can work with the government to produce those munitions at scales?
Since 2024, 10,000 new defense tech companies have entered the market. This former Navy SEAL started Shield AI over a decade ago and recently returned from Ukraine, where his AI-driven targeting systems are being used.
defense tech was not a word in 2015. Venture capitalists thought we were crazy when we said we wanted to work on this mission of protecting service members in civilian.
Yeah, it's a fucking hashtag ad. Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah. The U.S. blew almost its entire clip protecting Israel. Who cares about EUCOM or protecting the homeland? Everyone is a part of CENTCOM now. The U.S. must sacrifice everything for Israel. That's increasingly becoming the reality here. It's actually insane.
Success we're having with Iran. Because if you go 4 months ago, 5 months ago, a deal like that would have been impossible.
Now, White House and Board of Peace officials say it could take months to implement that agreement between Hamas and Israel. And Adriana, we should note the war in Iran has now entered its 6th month.
An important note, Olivia. Thank you so much.
Overnight, the U.S. Embassy in Jordan issuing a security alert urging Americans to consider leaving the Middle East as U.S. assets and allies in the region face attacks by Iran.
Meanwhile, here at home, President Trump took Friday's cabinet meeting to Camp David, where he told reporters the military is ready to ramp up strikes if progress isn't made on the diplomatic front.
Steve Harrigan joins us now with the latest. Steve.
That's right, that warning from the U.S. Embassy in Jordan telling Americans not to travel to the region or if they are here now to consider leaving. And it comes as President Trump has issued a warning that the U.S. could launch major attacks against Iran. The president saying those attacks could come as early as this weekend and they could last for several days. Here's the president.
We'll be hitting them. We'll be hitting them very hard. And at some point they're going to say,
Great way to spend tax money to wage war on the other side of the world. Yeah, war that also has negative consequences for Americans here. Like, Donald Trump ran and won on fixing the prices. This was the promise that he made. He ran on being the peace president. He ran on ending wars. And he ran on fixing prices, right? And of course, shutting off the border and purging all the brown people from the U.S. boundaries, okay? As far as promises made, promises kept goes, he is quite literally doing the exact opposite, okay? He ran on fucking peace and lowering prices. Prices are increasing, and there's less peace than ever before. Only him and his closest buddies are the ones who are making money right now. And they're making money hand over fist. The last major energy grid threat and subsequent taco, March 20th to 23rd, drove Brent down by 11% from pre-threat level. It also happened over the weekend. If this coordinated bluster, they could announce a new diplomatic effort on Monday. We don't know that that's the case. But that was the major one. That was back when, I think that was literally when Trump said he's going to nuke Iran, when I had arrived in Michigan, ironically enough, to do the Abdul stump. It was the same day.
You can sense some frustration in the president yesterday about Iran's negotiating tactics, negotiating for days at a time, and then suddenly striking U.S. assets in the region, attempting to strike U.S. military positions in the region, and also attacking civilian shipping. Here's President Trump on negotiating with the Iranians.
Losing faith in them because they do lie and they do misrepresent. Also,
this is like pure projection. I don't know what else to say. Like, every time he does some fuck shit, he goes, they just lie all the time. It's like, bitch, what do you mean they lie all the time? Like, we can see what you're doing, right? You lie to us, you lie to yourself, you lie to the world, you're lying to everybody. It makes no sense. This argument makes no sense. Iran, if anything, has not lied at all. They keep saying, look, you strike, and lo and behold, we strike them, and then they strike back. Okay? There's never been a moment where Iran is like, actually, we want to do negotiations, and then boom, lo and behold, they're striking our assets in the region. That's not what's been going on. We've been doing that to them. And while we've been lying to them and lying to the rest of the world, constantly being like, no, Iran wants to do a deal. Iran wants to do a deal. Iran has to come out every time and be like, no, we don't want to do a deal. What the fuck are you talking about? Iran has been pretty fucking straightforward every damn day of the week.
Well, the other day, the 5 missiles we shot, we knocked them down, but we were in the midst of a negotiation. I mean, I'm waiting for Steve to call me. How's the negotiation going? And instead, I got a call from Pete that they just shot 5 missiles at one of our bases in Jordan.
If there are major attacks, it's not clear whether or not Israel would be a part of them. They've largely been on the sidelines for the past 7 weeks of this war. Guys, back to you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Steve.
Truly a tragic situation. And of course, as we've talked all along, I feel like Iran has dreadfully miscalculated President Trump, especially when you wind up actually killing U.S. soldiers. If you think that you're going to bully Trump or push Trump into backing down because of an upcoming midterm election, any hope of that goes out the window when you wind up killing U.S. service members. We lost the lives of 3 service members in Jordan on a base after it was struck by missiles from Iran. One of those soldiers was laid to rest yesterday, I believe, in New York, in Queens, and the among the people that were there was Maher Mamdani, who was intending to speak at the event, at the funeral, and the family was not interested in having him speak at the family. Here's the New York Post.
Yeah, there he's on the right. Is that him?
The silent treatment, yes.
So strange. Such a strange news story, dude. The New York Post treats Zohran Mamdani like Sex Pestity and LSF used to treat me. Like, it's kind of funny. It's really fucked up, but it's also kind of funny that they're literally like, oh, he really wanted to deliver a speech and make it all about himself. Like, where did you get this information from? Like, I don't even understand, why is, how did this become a thing? Like, why are they so parasocially obsessed? It's a real damned if you do, damned if you don't style situation too, because it's like, imagine Zohran doesn't attend the fucking funeral of the Queen's soldier. Are you kidding me? Zohran Mamdani loved that the Queen's soldier died, didn't even want to attend the funeral. You know what I mean? They're literally behaving like my fucking weird haters on the internet.
Yeah, I do think that, look, there's nothing nice about war. This is always the worst case scenario. But I think when you look at this president and the strategy he's employed here, you look at the situation we just saw resolved in Gaza with the Board of Peace coming to this agreement. It will mean that in perpetuity, the people there in Gaza who were constantly being talked about, people, the pro-Palestine crowd, Free Palestine, all these people.
I disagree with New York City Mayor plenty, but this criticism is unfair. My understanding is that the family didn't want elected officials speaking and the mayor respected their wishes. He was warmly received and clearly moved by the beautiful ceremony. This isn't something to fault him for. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow, you mean to tell me that the New York Post lied? What? You mean to tell me that Fox News leaned into the lie from the New York Post? What? Wow. Wow, that's shocking. I'm so shocked. You mean they made it up? They literally automatically made the assumption that if there was an elected representative there, if there was an elected at the funeral, that their expectation is that they speak, and Zohran was really sad? You mean to tell me that the New York Post is behaving exactly like my fucking psychotic haters do when they'll clip something to be like this literally happened to me and with Zohran on Zohran's election victory party. Like, I got the fucking 5-star VIP treatment over there. Obviously, this was a major night for this entire movement. We're all celebrating. Next day, I go online and everyone's like, oh, dude, it's crazy. I can't believe you got fucking owned. I can't, lol, you deserve it. Zohran denied you entry into the event. It's like, what the fuck? Why are you inserting yourself into the story? Because I'm a fucking Twitch streamer. And there is the exact same through line that exists in some of the dumbest fucking drama farmers on the internet with respect to how the New York Post is operating. I'm trying to use an analogy from a personal anecdote as an example to show you how fucking stupid mainstream outlets are. Is that okay? It's called an explanation. The expectation I have is that not New York Post, but at least like Fox News is not going to just like literally behave like LSF does with me. Is that appropriate? Am I allowed? I know it's a fucking very strange analogy. It's a very strange example, and yet it fucking works in this situation. Here, you're getting shook. Oh, you need to take the camera out? Okay. Here, you can take it. But aren't we going to be early?
people are pretty silent now. They may want to thank the president
Okay.
because without him, they'd be living under terrorist rule. Hamas would be ruling their lives. They would be living in misery. And now they have a hope for a better future, but it was strategy. And it didn't happen overnight. And I think when we're looking at a situation like we have in Iran, you have to look at how the president has operated this whole way. It's been very strategic. He's tried to be diplomatic about it. But you look at the way he decimated their military. You look at the way that he attacked economically, and now they're kind of boxed into a corner. And you're right, he is not worried about anything that is politically advantageous, Charlie. He's worried about doing the right thing at the right time, and that time is now.
And it's worth noting, President Trump was at the dignified transfer of those 3 fallen heroes. And he saw those caskets draped in the American flag being carried.
I mean, he's literally at the scene of the crime. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's responsible for those deaths. Like, he's directly responsible for those deaths. It's very, very weird that you would just bring that up. If I was Fox News, I probably wouldn't even mention Trump in that situation at all. You know what I mean?
Off of a plane coming back to the U.S. You saw in that video of Sergeant Rampersad yesterday being carried in a flag-draped coffin. President Trump has talked about the hardest job any president has, is going to Dover and greeting a dignified transfer. And I think that mother, this family, feels that, listen, you have done nothing but rail against President Trump. You are the mayor. Stay out of the foreign policy.
They're making shit up now. This is literally Reddit comments under an LSF post. I cannot believe it. I cannot fucking believe it. Fox News, the most popular network news program, is behaving in the exact same way that Redditors do on LSF. They made up a story. They took something out of context. They made up a story. And now they're adding additional commentary onto that completely made up story. This is just fan fiction, okay? And who are they using for this made up story? A dead soldier, okay? A 19-year-old who didn't need to die at all, but died because our president decided to listen to the real American president, Benjamin Netanyahu, and start a fucking dumbass war with Iran. Unbelievable. What the fuck?
Lane. And also, do not simply bring politics into the most sacred, painful moment of our lives. And you have to really put that in context.
What the fuck?
And you begin to have empathy for the family and why they felt that way.
Yeah.
But yet, Mayor Mamdani is bringing politics into it.
Yeah.
You just, dude, what the fuck? What the fuck? All right. Are we ready? Okay. They're shameless. Wish people from our side would learn from this.